Hey friends, I hope you're having an amazing day. I'm coming at you with another UCast style video that's like a mixture between YouTube and podcasting to make sure you guys get the divine audio. And it's my pathway of least resistance in just sharing the thoughts that are on my mind and giving you the messages that are on my heart. And today I want to talk about a sort of feeling that I've been navigating myself throughout the last year. And it's this feeling of being essentially ghosted by God or abandoned by source, or sort of feeling ignored or forgotten about when it comes to your journey. And logically, yes, I can know we are always divinely supported, and I still have felt so amazingly blessed and supported and grateful for my life and the things that I have in my life. But I just want to validate those feelings for those of you out there who may be feeling the same, of recognizing, hey, universe, I'm out here, I'm doing the work, I'm doing the crying, the purging, all the healing, all the challenging conversations, anything that has presented itself on my path, I'm doing it, I'm going for it. And then feeling like, okay, God, I've done it and I'm ready for the fruits of my labor, or I'm ready to receive what I've been intending for and manifesting, and then crickets. And it can result in sort of this feeling of being abandoned or feeling ignored, even though logically you know. And I'm here to remind you that divine orchestration is always happening behind the scenes. Anytime that we set an intention into the universe, the bridge of incidents starts unfolding. And this is something Lo and I go into depth about in our podcast, Lo and Zoe Show, and in our Quantum Creators course, is that each time you do set an intention, you are setting that message into the universe. The universe knows what you want, what you desire, what you're calling in. And sometimes that bridge of incidents can result in things looking like they're going sideways, up, down, all over the place. But the truth is that no matter what, so much magic is happening behind the scenes. And the universe and God is always lining things up for us in our divine timing, right? Anytime where we might be expectant of results and then we find ourselves disappointed because they haven't manifested yet, or things haven't gone as planned, or they haven't seemed to be appearing in our reality yet, that can feel uncomfortable. But the truth is that the universe is always communicating us rejection of any kind, not receiving what you've been intending for, is actually a redirection. Or in fact, the universe saying, listen, you think you want this, but I've got something better. And I'm sure you can all recognize different times in your life where you've desired something so much and it didn't happen for you, but then something else happened. Maybe it was a job that you were really trying for and then you didn't receive it. And then a week later, your dream job that you didn't even know was your dream job showed up. Or the same thing can go for a relationship. Perhaps you really liked this one person, but it didn't work out. And you might find yourself questioning things, but then down the road, you find someone who is a much better match for you energetically and in all different ways. So again, the universe is on your side. God has your back. The universe has your back. And we are, as human beings, just limited in our abilities to perceive this. So one thing that I always come back to when I find myself feeling like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm flailing, I feel like nothing's happening, or I'm sort of feeling like I'm failing, I always come back to, in hindsight, this will all make sense. It will all be 2020 to me, 2020 vision. It will be the utmost clarity because I will have made it to the other side. It's our egos that have this sort of stickiness with like wanting to see the results, wanting to see the fruits of our labor. But I always remind myself, no matter what is happening, it's always serving me in the highest good. Source and God are always serving me in the highest good. And when you can focus on what you're learning in your journey, when you focus on the lessons that are really present for you in whatever it is that you're struggling with, this can start to make it easy, because then you can start to link it back to those intentions that you've been setting in the universe. Like, let's say your intentions have been in growing your business, but that doesn't seem to be happening. But then you're called to work on some foundational aspects, perhaps hiring a team member to offset some of the work. And when you focus on these aspects in the way that you are learning and that you are growing, you can start to then tune into the abundance of all things. You can start to then tune into, hey, you know what? I trust that actually what I'm learning right now is setting me up for everything that I've been intending for, wishing for, manifesting. Now, The impatience is the difficult part. And it's funny because no matter how much we know, we can always go to this place of forgetting, and then we have to bring ourselves back to remembering. So when you find yourself in that uncomfortable place, right, of the in between, of the waiting, I've got a few tips for you about how we begin to shift from feeling like a victim to circumstance, or essentially feeling ghosted by God in ways, or abandoned by source. These steps have helped me shift, and I know that they'll begin to help you shift. So first of all, I decide to catch myself right in that moment. And sometimes this happens faster than others. And I decide to put on some inspiring content. So this could be a podcast, it could be a YouTube video, it could be anything that is comforting and validating for exactly where you're at. So one thing that I always like to revisit is Dr. Joe Dispenza's content. Specifically, I love the book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, because it reminds me that I have the power to change, that I have the power to change my neural pathways, to create different results in my life. And it helps me feel in charge or in control. And I know we're never in control. We are, only in control of, for example, our thoughts, but our thoughts create our reality. So I always come back to this sort of toolkit of content, or a toolkit filled with creators and inspiring minds that I like to listen to, that help me sort of begin to shift. And then the next step is reprogramming the thoughts, right? So when you are finding yourself in this in between, in this impatient phase, thoughts that might arise are, well, why isn't it here yet? All of this work seems really heavy. When is it going to be my turn? So when you catch yourself in those thoughts, and it could be very helpful to journal these out, write them out, so you get very present with them, so that each time they cross your mind, you can be like, hey, listen, we're going to reprogram that. And then you choose a better thought. So what are the belief systems that you want to have? For example, it could be, I'm feeling better and better every day. Or I am learning so much about myself. I am building a powerful foundation for my success in the future. Or everything is happening in divine timing. So depending on what your limiting thoughts are, or those thoughts that don't feel very good, you can, like I said, write them down. And this will actually help you find the most appropriate thoughts that you would like to reprogram. And a tip that Dr. Joe, I believe, says is that when you catch yourself in these thoughts, it can be very powerful to, yes, stop the thoughts in your mind and then change them, but also do an action like clapping your hands and saying change. So if the thought comes by of, this is really heavy, this sucks, change. This is getting easier each day. I'm getting to know myself better, and then just start feeding in those positive belief systems, and you will naturally start to feel better. And the next tip I have is visualization. So in coming back to the grand vision that you have for yourself, and perhaps one specific category, or just the vision that you have for your life, this can remind you why you're doing this work. And I know sometimes it can feel abrasive when you're like, hey, this is where I want to be. Why am I not here yet? But start to view it and start to come from the energy of, this is where I'm going, and this is just the pathway there. And God and the universe is just lining up the most ideal pathway for me to be my most optimal version, for me to be able to fully receive the blessings that are on their way. And the last tip that I have, which kind of encompasses all of the tips, is to incorporate these into every day. So if you find yourself in a rut, or like spiraling down into these thoughts, which I want to validate happens to all of us. I was just in it last week, and now I'm pulling myself out again. But morning routine and evening routine are a great time of day to practice, or to use these tools like listening to inspiring content, or reprogramming your thoughts, or journaling, or visualizing. The morning routine sets a powerful energetic precedent for the day, and the evening routine, filling your mind up with positive, inspiring content, visualizing and or journaling and focusing on you, will allow for a restful sleep that will have you planting those seeds for grand manifestations for your life. And it is the compound effect of change. It's doing a little bit each day that results in the big changes. So I want to remind you guys that this is how the identity shift happens. This is how you come back to remembering who you are, is by catching yourself and then taking the necessary action to bring yourself back. And it does require discipline, as in sometimes it can feel hard to take action when you're facing resistance, but just know that that discipline is for you and your higher self, and come back to that. Come back to your why. And I know that will be a guiding light, your North Star, as you navigate through this. With that, I want to let you guys know that Lo and I from the Lo and Zoe Show, we love to talk about all things manifestation, mindset, and quantum physics on the Lo and Zoe Show. And we are actually holding a very special free event next week, which is the Quantum Leap live stream. We're doing 2 events, and it'll be inside of our private Facebook group, which I'll link down below. And of course, you can watch the replay if you can't see it live. But we're going to be talking all about the empowering process of quantum leaps. So if you like content like Dr. Joe Dispenza and you love diving into quantum potentials and just feeling like the creator of your reality, this is definitely for you. And I'll see you inside. Have a beautiful day. Bye.